learners, I welcome you all to the 47th lecture of this course on International Investment Law and the Environment. In this lecture, we will be looking at investment disputes where plea of necessity was invoked or pleaded, right? So, particularly in the first segment of this lecture, we will be looking at how Argentina took some measures while responding to an economic emergency that it faced in early 2000s, and to justify those measures, Argentina had invoked the plea of necessity. So that is what we will be looking at in the very first segment. What are the measures that it had taken and the factual circumstances of the cases. Argentina stated that there was an economic crisis and that threatened the very existence of the country as well as its independence. Even if we see other countries which had taken plea of necessity, it had taken it also in the context of national security, public order, war, in those contexts only. So Argentina also took a plea of necessity or the defense of necessity in the context of the economic crisis that it was facing. So we can say that there was no invocation of environmental necessity, but still I wanted to discuss the cases that are filed against Argentina so that we understand how plea of necessity can be entertained by a tribunal in while hearing an investment dispute. Then we can extend this logic to environmental necessity. Here the necessity was not with regard to environment, but the same logic prevails, so it can be extrapolated, and then there is a possibility of making a plea before an arbitral tribunal which is hearing an investment dispute that there was an environmental necessity, and that is why the host state took regulatory measures, and that measures should be precluded of the wrongfulness because of the environmental necessity. So there, I wanted to show a possibility of this to happen. So in the very first video, we look at the factual matrix of most of the cases that were filed against Argentina and what were the measures that it had taken. Argentina stated that the crisis was very severe, that there was a significant decrease in Argentine's GDP, gross domestic product, in the consumption, in the investment, as well as there was a significant reduction, devaluation of the value of Argentine corporations as well. So because of these efforts, because of these reasons, what had happened was there was widespread unemployment and poverty as well. Because of these, it had a dramatic consequence in respect of the nutrition, the health, and there were other dramatic social consequences as well. So this is what Argentina referred to as the situation, and Argentina had to take some measures in order to address these situations. Before this, if we see, Argentina in early 1990 had liberalized its gas sector, and Argentina came out with a economic recovery program in 1989. Then there were many laws that were passed, state laws, the domestic laws were passed that pegged the US currency for gas tariffs, and also there was one gas law that was passed by Argentina which sort of paved way for privatization of gas industry as well. In fact, when it faced the crisis, there were the public institutions were not running, and many other this law had when it adopted a economic recovery plan that had sort of liberalized public entities as well as government owned enterprises, public utilities, all of that. But when the crisis happened, we could see that these public utilities were not effectively functioning, and so basically what had happened was it undertook an economic recovery plan in early 1990s, but then in early 2000s there was an economic emergency crisis that had happened in Argentina. So this is what had happened. So to respond to these emergencies, Argentina adopted an emergency law in the year 2002, and what were the measures that it had taken? So as per the emergency law that was enacted in 2002, that suspended as well as froze the gas tariffs to US index, and then there was a general imposition of fixed currency of exchange, fixed exchange for currency of United States dollars and the local currency peso, right? So when it fixed the currency rate, then again that affected the US investors who had invested pursuant to the liberalization of gas sector. Right. So then it's not just the US investor, a total of 48 proceedings were filed against the measures that Argentina had taken to respond to this economic crisis. And if we calculate the amount that these investors were claiming in these ISTS cases, the investment disputes, that amounted to almost to 8 billion US dollars. And if we see, Argentina did not have an entire financial reserve of this particular amount in the year 2002. So if we compare the amount that it had in 2002, that was significantly lower than the claim that the investors were making. So this sort of, this situation itself tells us the grim reality of how significant an investor's claim can be under ISTS. So especially Argentina took these measures to combat the economic crisis, and what the investors wanted from Argentina to pay them compensation. Again, that would also be an economic setback for the country as well. So ISTS is a very robust mechanism. So countries do have to carefully undertake the obligations that they commit to towards the investors. Okay, so coming back to the factual matrix of this case, so you understand initially in early 1990s there was economic liberalization, particularly in the gas sector. Then in early 2000s there was an economic crisis. Then to respond to those crises, it took certain measures. One of them was pegging. There was specification that had happened, that is fixed currency for fixed exchange of currency between the US dollars and the pesos, so known as specification. So all of these had happened. So when there were many cases that were filed against Argentina, Argentina invoked the plea of necessity. So Argentina stated that even if the tribunal finds a violation of any of the provisions of the treaty, that should be precluded because of two grounds. One is it referred to the customary international law's plea of necessity as codified under Article 25 of Articles on State Responsibility. Secondly, Argentina can be seen to also refer to Article 11 of US Argentina BIT, which contained a clause of non-precluded provision. So generally we refer to that sort of a clause as non-precluded measures, NPM clauses. So what was the content of Article 11 of US Argentina BIT? So Article 11 of the BIT stated that if a party takes a measure that is necessary for three things, one is for maintaining the public order, or for fulfilling the obligation that it has towards maintaining international peace and international order, or third one is to protect its essential security interest. For these reasons, if Argentina takes a measure, then that would be precluded. The wrongfulness of that measure would be precluded as per Article 11 of the US Argentina BIT. So these are the two things that Argentina relied on. One, customary international law's plea of necessity, as well as the NPM clause as well. The NPM clause sometimes is also referred to as safeguard clause. We can see this phrase to be used by Continental Casualty Tribunal. And if we look at CMS tribunal, CMS, this is Argentina, that tribunal referred to this provision as an emergency clause as well. No matter whatever name that you call it, it essentially, it is one version of the plea of necessity that we find under Article 25. But sometimes the treaty standard may be different from the customary international law standard. We know Article 25, as we discussed in the earlier videos, Article 25 had stringent conditions for invoking the defense of necessity, right? So those stringent conditions may not be present as a treaty standard. So in a treaty, there could be a provision very similar to the plea of necessity, and it could be an autonomous standard if it does not incorporate the stringent requirements that we see in Article 25. So here also there were three instances that was mentioned in Article 11. So for these three things, Article 11 permitted a contracting party to take a measure, and if that is successfully invoked, then the tribunal may not find any violation of the BIT provision. So this is the factual matrix of this particular case. In the next videos, we will be looking at a few cases that were filed against Argentina and how did the tribunal interpret the NPM clause, and how did the tribunal react to the defense of necessity or decide on the plea of necessity that Argentina had taken. And this is important for us to understand, so how the tribunal looked at, so that we can invoke the possibility of invoking plea of environmental necessity. Our entire course is talking about reconciling environmental interest in international investment law, right? So therefore, we will try and understand how an arbitral tribunal, while hearing an investment dispute, interprets looks at the question of defense of plea of necessity. So in the next videos, we will look at the individual cases. Right. Thank you.